Blindspot Season 2, Episode 5, Condone Untidiest Thefts. This one was actually really good. I thought this was a really fun episode going through... Well, they only had like that specific scene when he was freaking out, but going through Roller's kind of personality through this episode, it kind of starts off with him freaking out like, why are they following me for such a long time? And then it kind of goes into what he wants, for the future. I didn't think that was going to be that loud. But it goes into really what he wants for the future and what he wants to do as a part of his child's life. And he and Allie in this episode, they have kind of the typical thing. They always do this, I feel, on TV shows. And it's probably something that happens in real life as well, where someone who's so used to being a cop doesn't want to just get out of the field just, because they're pregnant. They've done their job well and they haven't been shot and stabbed and all this other crazy stuff for, the past 8 years or something crazy. And it's like, it's not going to suddenly change. But with it being TV, it always changes the day after they decide, yeah, we'll be a family and all that stuff. So, of course, we go through that. And, it starts off subtle because, of course, Weller doesn't want to bring attention to it or anything. But he freaks out. And, like I said, it starts simple. It's just, hey, make sure she's protected every time Allie wants to go off. And it's like, he didn't even want her talking to the guy, I guess because he didn't want her to even be stressed. I don't know. But he's like, I don't even want you going to have to deal with this dude. I don't want you doing anything because, I'm worried about you with the baby. So it starts off simple, and then it gets real crazy when they get split up and they get ambushed, which I thought was actually a fun part of the story. And they normally don't do this because they already have Sandstorm, especially now. Like they've given it a name and everything, and we've met other important characters, probably the most important characters within Sandstorm now. So they probably won't do this, but this actually seemed like one of the cases where this could easily go into the next episode. I was like, I know it, especially the way they did is like, oh, everything seemed to wrap up, they got the files here and this and that. But even when you have files on a bunch of people, they could still, there's a lot that could still go wrong there. But they also don't need to worry about that based on the way they ended this episode, which I know I'm like really shooting through the whole thing, but boy, the way they ended this episode, now I thought it's possible, it's possible that this could definitely happen, and I was like, I don't know, Reade, there's something that's going to happen. Reade is going to kind of lose it a little. He's going to go down a certain path. It could get really bad, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned before, like, he might kill this guy. I was like, I don't know, but he might. And so it starts off, he's still outside the dude's house. He fell asleep. He was just angry, so mad. He was there until he fell asleep. So, wakes up, ends up following the guy again, and he follows him and he like pushes him up against the wall and stuff. And he's like, I'm going to make you pay for this pretty much. And, he kept pushing it, and he kept going further and further beyond the bounds of law. And so he takes his one day off. And he made some interesting discoveries as well as decisions, because he found all those videotapes and he watched it and he saw what happened with himself and he lost it and he killed that guy. And so I don't know what's going to happen. And as I said, I knew Zapata was going to be the one to help him. She's always, the main backup for Reade. And in all honesty, it's hard to say where they're going to take it, because based on some of the things she did, based on, in the last season, she might actually help him hide it. I mean, she did some illegal stuff where she's, like, gambling in, like, secret apartment dens and stuff. There's, like, full little setups and everything. So, she's been in debt and done, like, some really crazy stuff before. So, it's like, alright. At the same time, this is also just flat out her friend. A friend that she's worked with for quite some time. And I just don't know where they're going to take it. They're going to try to hide this secret. But at the same time, you have an officer who, and there's a lot also, because he took a day off. So it's like, oh, if someone decides, excuse me, I'm going to come in asking questions, Reade and Zapata can't be like, hey, say he was here today, or he was here on that day, because that's super suspicious. So once someone decides, oh, you were, you as an FBI agent who was also one of this man's children that he worked with, or mentored, or something like that, he goes missing. We come in, talk to your friends at work. They say you took the day off. You also had the call on you, which I was surprised during that scene as well, when Zapata got the call. They're like, yeah, we got a call about your partner. I was like, they must have looked at the cameras or something, because what was that guy gonna say? It was like, a dark-skinned dude pushed another guy up against, like, all they could do is describe him. But maybe they had a composite or whatever, I don't know. But it was already on file, that type of thing was recorded. That phone call that they had, unless that was a personal call about a cell phone, that might not be recorded. But it's like, hey, we got a call about your partner. We just want to let you know what was happening. So they already have that. They already have him at this location, kind of attacking this dude a little bit. He took the day off, and this dude randomly ends up dead. And they have forensic investigators to be like, oh, this person died between this time and that time. They can do all this stuff, and I doubt he was really in the mindset of, I really need to cover my tracks. He was sitting outside of his house for a day, and then he followed him, and then he went and snuck into his house and killed him when he came back home. So I don't know how this could possibly work where they cover it up. I mean, it's the FBI. They work within the FBI. The FBI has, I would assume, has internal affairs, just like lower level street cops do. So I just don't know how this is going to play out with Reade. But when it happened, I was just like, man, I thought it was a possibility, but I just, at the same time, it's like, that just seems too insane, because where can it go from here? So they've done it now, and we just have to see where it goes from here. But I am excited. I'm very excited now. I mean, I was excited before, but it just took a huge leap, and it's just like, all right. He clearly saw the tape, and he killed the guy. So at this point, there is, the retribution and all that stuff. And I'm sure that would get out there. He'd say why he did it, of course, and let it be known, like, this is exactly why I lost it. They could totally go insanity based on what we've seen already. Insanity wouldn't be the craziest plea if he ended up going to court, which I don't know how they won't. I mean, they might have to pull in some crazy favors. Zapata might be pulling in some favors or some connections from the last season. So, not really sure what to expect from that storyline, but I'm incredibly excited now. We also have, of course, Weller and Allie. That seemed to kind of wrap up nicely. It's like, she was shot in the leg. But it's like, I'm on desk duty now, you got what you wanted, so they're kind of fine with that. That seems to kind of just, that's done now, and I guess we'll come back to that storyline when she's having the baby. But the other storyline is Sandstorm freaking out now, because Jane comes in like, hey, during the Orion attack, I remember this woman, and that's pretty much all I got. I got this woman, and I have this ring, which she didn't tell them about, but she went to Patterson with. And she gets, what we find out towards the end of the episode, is actually a pretty BS story. It was like, oh, this happened and that happened. Sadly, she died. And it's like, oh, did she remember? I want to say they threw out the name Chris, but it's like, she doesn't remember right now, but she might. And then if she does, their whole plan, could fall apart, which I think is very interesting. But whatever happened, whatever really happened, I don't know, maybe she wasn't meant to survive. Maybe they tried to kill her off. I wouldn't think that was the case, because otherwise they would have just done it and been like, oh, well, someone random, I mean, considering what they do, someone random, would have just come along and, like, killed her while she was passed out, or something like that. So I don't think that was the case. But I guess there's some other part of the plan. I guess her, maybe knowing something a little extra, whatever the deal was with the ring, how far that's going to go. Which they did bring in the guy for that, because that was kind of a thing, like, okay, well, there's this minute detail or whatever, so maybe I'll contact this guy who knew all about this crazy thing with the water and stuff. So that's kind of, at least to me, and she of course mentioned like coffee stuff, but I figured she was calling him not just to randomly be like, I want to date this guy. It was really to get the information and see what he knew about this ring and what he could specify for her. So it's hard to tell what random secret could possibly be there, but it's clearly something that's a big deal. Like, she didn't want to share some sort of secret where it's like, no, this happened and this specific person was the one to come get you. So it's really hard to tell. I don't know what they could be hiding from her that, would be worth hiding. That's the crazy thing. Maybe they did have another secret mission. It's secret organizations. They can have multiple secret missions. Even if she is like the adopted daughter of the head of Sandstorm, there could be something there where it's like, you just aren't allowed to know everything. Plain and simple. You're not at the top. Some people know some things, other people know other things. So it's really hard to tell where they're going with this, like what they could possibly be hiding from her. But we will clearly be getting some answers. I would assume in the next episode, considering the phone call. But they might hold off like the big reveal for that for 2 episodes. Um, Early on in this episode, it may have actually been the first scene. Patterson and I wish I could remember that guy's name. He's the only character I can't remember now. But the two of them, they have them in the bathroom together. I was like, that was really fast. I didn't think they'd actually sleep together, but I'm okay with that. I still hope that he doesn't end up being the spy this whole time. That's all I can hope for. But I was like, oh, I'm surprised that happened so quickly. But that was an interesting little scene. I just wanted to mention that because now if he does end up being the spy, I forgot that I had my phone on like that. But if he does end up being the spy, who knows how that's going to play out then? Because it's going to be, as I mentioned that before, I was like, I really hope he's not, because that would just be another issue where she had to deal with her boyfriend in the show being either killed if he tries to fight back, or just being sent to prison for being like the secret terrorist inside a sandstorm. So really hoping that that's not the case, because that would really suck that they did that twice to her character. But that's happening now. It's an official thing. I thought they'd actually have a scene, since they talked about, you want to ride in together and stuff. I thought they'd actually have a scene where, everyone looked at them like, oh, you guys are a couple or whatever. But I was surprised that actually didn't end up happening. So we might see that in the next episode, I would assume. Maybe we won't get that, considering the Reade and Zapata thing. They might both be taking a few days off in this next episode. But I really enjoyed this one. I actually liked Allie's portion in this episode where they have kind of this interesting dynamic where she's like, yeah, I kind of know their family because, like, my best friend married into that family, but, she's like a teacher or whatever. Like, just because that family's really bad doesn't mean she is, so we can still be friends. So I like that element of the episode as well. It actually did play a fairly important part, considering the guy would only talk to her and she was trying to, kind of really help them out. But overall, it was definitely a fun episode. I'm excited to see the really insane cliffhangers, and of course I definitely want to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please comment below, let me know your favorite parts, least favorite parts, and I certainly want to know, of course, of all the cliffhangers, Reade was the craziest one. He killed someone, he's an FBI agent, who knows what the heck's about to happen. But I want to know where you guys think it's headed, and of course I want to know what you guys thought about the episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.